What's up, Cancer Collective? Thank you for joining me for your road opening reading. My name is Keita. If it's your first time joining me, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm going to be, or I've already pulled some cards for you guys to take a look into what roads are blocked for you all and why that road is blocked and what it is that you're needing to surrender or surrender to open that road. I'm also providing a crystal prescription for you guys, and I felt a wave of heat come over me before I press play on the video, which is telling me there's something very passionate about the message that's coming through, and I'm picking up that there's something that you all are passionate about, like some cause, probably stemming from your own experience, something that you're an advocate for. So like I have a myriad of things that I could passionately advocate for, considering that I've not lost, I want to stop saying that because I've not lost them. But a lot of people whom I love have transitioned. And so like my great grandmother to Alzheimer's and dementia, that's very much a cause that I could put my time and energy behind and be passionate about. My nephew to an accident, but ultimately he needed, like, CPR could have changed his life, and nobody around either knew to give CPR or knew how to give CPR. So that's a cause that I could passionately get behind based on my own experience with it. I lost an aunt to HIV, AIDS. She had full-blown AIDS. That's a cause I could passionately get behind. And so I'm picking up that something like that is center focused for you guys this year, right? And you've possibly been an advocate in some way, because I pulled from the archetype cards to see what roads or what archetypal energy is blocked. And the card that came out is the advocate. And that light energy, or the advocate in its light attribute, inspires one to put compassion into action. So there's something that you're very passionate and compassionate about, right? But when it's in its shadow attribute, it's embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. So what I'm picking up is, like, for many of you, it's like you got the right idea, or you've been on track with something, but now it's time to kick shit up a notch and do things differently or take a different approach. So whatever it is that you've been an advocate for, you're being led to evolve in some way to being a scribe. That scribe archetype is preserving knowledge and information. When it's in its shadow, it's altering facts or plagiarizing others' work. So like if you were to take somebody else's experience and lie like it's your own. But in its light attribute, many of you are being led to write books. You're being led to document your story, your experience. You're being led to transmute the energy of that experience and level your advocacy up to some sort of creative output that is going to help the collective. So this is not something you're necessarily doing for financial gain, even though, knowing the God I serve, you're going to reap some reward financially in terms of abundance anyway. So let's say you were bullied and you want to write about, and you've been an advocate for bullying and organizations that help fight against bullying or bring awareness to bullying or whatever. Excuse me. The work that you've done and what you've invested into that cause up to this point, kudos, shout out to you. But you're being called to evolve and advance and write or create something around that same thing that you advocate for. and put it in writing, or hell, make a script, a movie, something. You're meant to create something from that experience. So when I asked why is there a block, I got vigilance. Stone people, you've been very persistent about putting your time and energy towards this advocacy or something else, right? But because you've been so vigilant, it's like there's not been any room for allowing God to show you what to do next, because you've been so focused on what it is that you've been advocating for and how you've been advocating for it up to this point. But with this vigilance comes a wake-up call with tsunami. And this wake-up call, it may not be anything like traumatic or chaotic, but as you can see here, there's like this wave. You can see a tsunami forming. It's at night and you can see the moon, and this often speaks to like an upsurging of emotion. So there's something that's potentially going to occur that is going to move you to chorus. It's going to serve as a wake-up call. It's going to bring an upwelling of emotion that is going to get you to make that shift from advocacy to the scribe archetype. And underneath tsunami is summer solstice, so that may be significant to summertime of this year, but the summer solstice energy speaks to radiance. Like things are going to be clear, you're going to be fired up about it. This is a lot of intense energy that is coming forward. And when I asked what is it that you need to surrender to open this road, we got surrender to stress. Whatever it is that you've been stressing about along this journey, whether you're doing it right, whether you're on the right path, whatever the case, surrender that stress. Surrender the stress of being vigilant about whatever it is that you've placed the majority of your focus towards, because it's something that's hindering your you get into the next level. It's hindering like that next idea or that next opportunity, that next aha moment. You're too stressed to really receive the download is what I'm picking up. But with surrender stress, it says take a few deep breaths and exhale the tension that you've built up in your body. Let the stress go as you come back to your center. You're going to need to be centered in order to receive this radiance and this wake-up call, in order to receive the channeling or the download and fully interpret the experience that's going to send you off in the right direction towards this scribe energy. For some of you, like you've been an advocate in your own way towards something or somebody, but with scribe, you're needed to better communicate that support and that advocacy. So that may be something that you've been stressing about, but there's going to be a natural occurrence that is going to bring in a wake-up call, and it's going to require that you surrender your defensiveness, which is at the bottom of the deck. So whatever guard you had up, for some of you, this may be speaking to like your vulnerability. You haven't wanted to share your story and you've been defensive about your experience and sharing your story. So then you haven't wanted to kick your advocacy up a notch or communicate your truth or create something that tells your story and would help other people. But you're going to need to surrender your defensiveness and surrender underneath that the drama. Surrender the drama. Surrender defensiveness. It says defensiveness is a sign of weakness. To communicate in a more empowered way, stay centered and hear someone out, then offer a clear non-defensive response. Yeah, there's some communication that needs to take place. So this scribe, that could be sending a text. So going from like having compassion about something or someone and just sending that text that says, you know, you have my full support and this is how I feel, or whatever. Whatever it is, you're gonna know it, because this wake up call energy is not something that you can ignore. Like, you're gonna know it when you feel it, when it happens, and it's gonna be something that's going to require that you let your guard down and not be so defensive. When I used bibliomancy to identify a crystal prescription, I actually ended up with two. So the first one is New Zealand carnelian, and these are in essence two very different energies. One which is a fire element energy, and the other one is a storm element energy. But it says Azozio carnelian, which is I might be saying it wrong. It might be Azozio, Azozeo, carnelian, also known as New Zealand carnelian, brings passion to one's will. Is this not a passionate energy, this radiance? Didn't I say I felt like a wave of heat come over me? But it brings passion to one's will, allowing one to burn through roadblocks. Hello. Are we not talking about opening roads? And I just picked a paragraph in the middle of the page. I had not even read this before we started talking about this. But it burns through roadblocks and overcomes past discouragement. These are powerful stones of encouragement, literally bringing in courage, which is simply an aspect of our true selves. Any soul that incarnates in this world is a bold and courageous adventurer though many of us have forgotten that and are in bondage to shame and fear. Azozio carnelian reminds us of our boldness and our power, and of the fact that the appropriate surrender or abandonment of self into action is power. That is how we incarnated here in the first place. The inner harmonization of all one's energies that these stones can trigger is what allows us to see this and to begin imagining the future we want to co-create. Sexual energy is another dimension of creative power, and Azozio carnelian can stimulate new awakenings in this area as well. Those who are engaged in the spiritual path of Tantra, or those who wish to be, will find a ready ally in these stones. The natural resonance of New Zealand, turned on by the Azozio process, can open the way to ecstatic experiences on both the spiritual and physical levels. On more everyday levels, Azozio New Zealand carnelian can be applied in numerous self-healing modalities. Spiritually, it stimulates the inner fire of spiritual awakening, creativity, courage, passion, and power. For many of you, this is the courage to speak your truth and tell your story in some way. And also the creativity needed to package it and present it to the collective or one individual person. But whatever this is, it is a part of your spiritual journey that has been a source of stress for you. And so the divine is leading you by way of the information I'm providing here to tools and information to help you like put that burden down and just express yourself. And for many of you, you're going to feel very light when you do. Where I stop. Oh, it triggers accelerated evolution and engenders co-creating with the soul of the world. Emotionally, Azozio New Zealand carnelian brings an infusion of passion that can express itself in creative activities, love relationships, or both at once. It helps one overcome hesitancy and fearfulness. The affirmation for Azozio carnelian is: I kindle the inner fire of my passion, love, and creativity. The second crystal is Nirvana quartz, which has a different energy that's associated with the storm element. And with this wake up call energy, there's definitely some kind of storm that's gonna come through and shake things up. But it doesn't have to be like something, like I said, chaotic. You know what I'm saying? It could just be like something that catalyzes lifelong change. Like things will never be the same after whatever this is comes through, right? Whether it be an idea or aha moment or whatever. So it says Nirvana quartz. I don't think that's the one I wanted to read. The keywords associated with it are opening to the future, heart brain synergy, inner silence, destiny, evolution, trust, and self-acceptance. Because some of us, we have, our heart says one thing, and then our brain is conditioned to say another. You know what I'm saying? And so we need to do energy work in order to get the two to align, and we move forward, making our actions and decisions from that aligned space. So having that synergy between the heart and the brain is important, because this speaks to some internal conflict where one says to do or say or be or advocate for one thing, or communicate one thing, and then the other says to do another. So with Nirvana quartz, it says perhaps the most revolutionary application of Nirvana quartz involves setting up the blueprint of post-human destiny. To be post-human means to be beyond the historic human limitations of fear, doubt, and violence, living and creating each moment through utter ongoing, trusting engagement with the not yet, the fertile unknown, which is the future. The beings expressing through these stones can be viewed as the angels of our potential, or as our future selves calling us into what we can be. To enact such a patternless pattern is to be fully willing to live in a paradox, to create and release in each moment, and to sing the joy of existence back to the supreme divine. This singing salutation of joy must reverberate from our minds, our hearts, souls, and spirits, all the way through to our cells, down to the core of every atom of our being, with not one grain held back. And it must pour forth from us a gesture into the unknown future, giving ourselves forward in constant sacrifice, making sacred and pre-manifest gratitude for we know not what. If human cultures have ever done this, it has been long forgotten, yet it is the lure of our becoming. There is something that is being called forth from you all, and it's your future self that's doing the calling to your higher self, to not allow your defenses, your fear, your doubt to keep you from expressing your experience, the truth of how you feel, because ultimately, like, that's your medicine, your creative output. You're meant to help others through your story and through your truth, the truth of how you feel, the truth of your experience. One suggestion for attuning to this future time current and its potential with Nirvana quartz is to sit with a pair of these crystals, centering attention in the heart while inwardly intoning the Sanskrit mantra Om Namo Bhagavat, perhaps alternating with an English version of its meaning, such as I salute the supreme divine. I don't know what the fuck I thought I seen on this page. I salute the supreme divine, or I sing my joy to the infinite one. Hold one crystal at the head and one over the heart, imagining and feeling into the self-reinforcing circuit of appreciation and joy described above. So there is no like spiritual and physical breakdown or affirmation for Nirvana quartz alone, but there are different forms of Nirvana quartz, and one of them is the growth interference quartz. That's a variation of Nirvana quartz. And with growth interference quartz, spiritually, it assists one in celebrating life's winding and experiential journey instead of bemoaning the lack of straight paths and direct ascension to spiritual wisdom. It assists one in discovering and honoring the wisdom gained through the perceived diversions of life experience. Okay. So somebody's going from advocacy, where you're showing up, providing compassion and support for some kind of a cause, whatever that may look like. And you've been able to provide some healing, and it has given you some level of healing as well. But you're being led now to evolve into this scribe energy of doing something more with your advocacy, making some actual physical product, be it a book or a podcast or a blog or a script or a play or something that you're being led to make with that furthers your healing. Because people often say when they write their autobiography or when they write a book, the whole process is therapeutic. And the book is designed to help the reader and the audience that's going to read it by sharing your story. But what you find is that it helps you along the journey to get some of that shit out and put it into perspective as well. And so the doubt and the fear that comes along with the thought of sharing your story is interfering with your growth. And so that's the block road, and that's the thing that's being called to help you tap more into that passionate, creative energy that helps you move beyond that kind of a stress and to actually bringing this thing into fruition. It is an excellent ally for meditative work, assisting one in accessing inner sources of wisdom and information. It can be valuable in recovering alternate life experience as well. Growth interference quartz emotionally helps those who judge themselves, either positively or negatively, on their outward appearance, to recognize the true beauty of spirit that underlies all of creation. So for some of you, if you're not wanting to put yourself out there in some way because you don't feel like you look the part, Nirvana quartz, growth interference quartz, is going to help you to build that confidence and not worry about your outward experience. Your outward appearance, as you are being called to not only discipleship, but like, I don't even know what to call this, but to answer the call. You know what I'm saying? As you're being called to really present your experience to others so that they can heal from relating with you in your story. Its energy can help one in overcoming patterns of victimization, unworthiness, or self-degradation. The affirmation is, I open myself to the unknown future in full trust, and I release the past with gratitude for how it has blessed my path with joy and difficulty. This is speaking to somebody who got comfortable as an advocate in some way and is now being challenged to open this blocked road to being a scribe, and to become aware of, call out the things that have been blocking their road, like doubt and fear and not thinking you're enough, feeling unworthy, and just being self-degrading when actually you are the right person for the job. This is actually part of your sacred contract. This is actually part of what you're here for. You signed up for this before you reincarnated into this 3D reality. And somebody is going to have a wake-up call, because from the looks of things, you've been vigilant about not bringing this something, this whatever this scribed product is. You've been diligent about not doing it. But if you're needing a personal reading, feel free to email me at turquoisemajesty@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the video to the channel if you have not already. And if you'd like to donate, that information is in the description box below. But yeah, y'all, until next time, peace.